Today's video, today we're going to take a look at Brody video where I talk about the 2022 House elections if redistricting did not occur. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. This was my prediction last time around, but a lot has changed since then, so we're going to get into the video. In the state of Alabama, nothing changes. Alaska, nothing really there. Arizona, though, we do have some interesting things in Arizona. If we look at the Arizona's House races, we can see that there are two districts that I consider competitive in Arizona. One is Tom Holland's district, and one is Schumer's district. I think that both of these races will be competitive. Again, my margins are in the description down below. I would now classify this district as likely actually for the Republicans. This is a Phoenix district. Without Trump on the ballot, I would consider that as likely. But I'll give the Democrats the first district by a 2 margin. Arkansas, so I don't think much will change. In California, we do have some interesting things. In California, we do have a few competitive seats in California, and I think Democrats will do better in a lot of these areas. If we go down to Los Angeles, this seat was held by Gil Cincedoris. If we look at this, if we look at this district, this was a district that I believe Young Kim was able to flip. So I think that this district will retain in the Republican column. I think by a lean margin, and as well as that, this district will also be a lean margin for the Republicans. If we look at the full size here, the 10th district, I think the 1st district will consolidate for the Republicans. Going back to the House map, the district, wait a minute, the district here, I think will still be likely for the Republicans. I think this is going to be the map that happens. In Colorado, I think there will be more competitive districts. Lauren Boebert probably doesn't have any trouble, but there's going to be one of these districts that are exurban that I think would be a little bit more competitive, being, I think, Colorado's 7th district. I think that district will be a little bit more competitive for if redistricting does not occur. If we look at Connecticut here, nothing really changes here. I think that's what it will look like. Delaware, nothing really changes here. Florida, we have some interesting races here. First of all, the district Donna Shalala currently holds, she actually lost re-election, surprisingly, despite being rated as a likely seat. Debbie Markins Powell, I think both of these seats will be pretty good for Republicans. I'll also be giving this seat right here a slight tilt towards the Republicans. Charlie Crist, I think, will have a more difficult time winning his re-election, but that's what I said. Now I can see that the Republicans have flipped back the majority. Going to Georgia, I think the districts here will be more competitive than I rated them as. So, if we look at the House elections, and we look at the state of Georgia, I think that Killian Bodex will have a much tougher race in her district. I think it will be tilt for the Democrats. Hawaii, nothing there. Idaho, nothing there. Indiana, Illinois, I think it's pretty interesting. I think the 17th district will consolidate, especially with the retirement of the Democratic candidate there. It was rated as likely for Democrats. It ended up being very, very close in this district. It ended up being about 4 points. I think this district, Republicans weren't even trying to flip it. And I think that Laura Underwood's district, I think that district will tilt towards the Republicans, giving Republicans one more free seat. Also, a few of these districts will be more competitive than they currently are. The 6th, those districts I think will be more competitive. The 3rd, I think that will be considered likely for the Democrats. Well, the 6th, I think, is going to be more competitive as well. I think that will go down to lean for the Democrats, although they probably won't lose that seat. The 5th district, Susan Brooks, I still think it will be about a lean margin for Republicans. Iowa, though, I'm going to make some changes. Likely for the 1st district, I don't think the Republicans will lose that district. As of right now, look at the state of Iowa. Yeah, that district flipped as well. I think Hart's second district, that district was very close, decided by 6 votes. I think that will remain as lane Republican. I think the first district, Cindy Jackson, given the environment, tilts towards the Republicans. So we have 4 Republican representatives of Iowa, 0 Democrats. Going to Kansas, I don't think much will change there. Sharice Davids probably still wins by a likely margin. Kentucky, I don't think much there as well. Louisiana, yeah, this district looks pretty cursed, honestly, but nothing changes there. Maine, I think Jared Golden probably loses by a lean margin, just given the national environment. Also, I think the Democratic incumbent there may have a more competitive race, but I think he is a strong incumbent, so nah, probably not. Maryland, I think nothing really there. Massachusetts, there could be more competitive races, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be much more competitive. Michigan, we have some interesting numbers. Look at this and going to the House elections. Michigan, I think Peter Midger probably wins by a lean margin instead of tilt. And I think that the 8th and 5th districts will get more Republican friendly, especially the 8th district. I actually expect the district to flip towards the Republicans. I think that the other districts are fine. Haley Stevens, I think this characterization is fair enough. Going to Minnesota. I don't think much will change. Jim Hagedorn probably wins re-election. Angela Craig, I think, will win re-election by a tilt margin very narrowly, and that gives the Republicans already 221. Going to Mississippi, nothing there. Missouri, yeah, the 2nd district, I'm probably going to put that as likely. I don't think the Democrats are really going to contest this district, given their bad national performance, at least probably. I don't think they're going to contest this district. Going to Montana, I could put it as safe, I would put it as likely first. Nebraska, I think Don Bacon probably wins by a likely margin. I think right now he is pretty much favored district-wise. In Nevada, there's 2 competitive districts. I think that Nevada's 4th will tilt towards the Democrats. It is a R+1 district according to Political Report, but I think it's still going to go to Democrats. But the 3rd district probably goes to the Republicans just because Susie Lee is a strong incumbent, but the problem is she's in a, according to a Political Report, a R+5 district, and just given the national environment, probably isn't very good for her in her district. I think in New Hampshire, don't see much. These 2 incumbents constantly outperform the Democrats. I think one of the districts may narrow down. I'm not sure which one it is. I think, yeah, New Hampshire's 1st district probably narrows up a little bit. New Jersey, if redistricting doesn't occur, I think it's pretty obvious that the Democrats will have the edge here in a lot of these districts. Redistricting is going to make it much more competitive. Manowski, I think, will probably lose re-election very narrowly, though. So yeah, New Mexico, I think Social Tourist has lost re-election. I think that will be what it looks like. New York State, we have some more interesting races. I think both of these districts will be considered likely instead of one being likely, one being lean. I think Anthony Brindisi's district probably leans towards the Republicans. John Cacto, I think, probably has a likely seat. Anthony Delgado probably still wins, and that's probably the map. North Carolina, I think J.K. Butterfield will have a more competitive race, but not enough to say anything. I think the 8th district probably goes likely for the Republicans. Now going to North Dakota, nothing there. Ohio, I think Steve Chabot probably wins nearly in his district, probably by a lead margin. I think Tim Ryan probably wins very, very narrowly 82 district, but no presidential election probably helps him in that district. Oklahoma, nothing there. Oregon, yeah, Peter DeFazio is going to have a more competitive district. I think it still probably goes to Democrats. Pennsylvania, I am going to make flips here. I'm going to give the 8th district towards the Republicans just because of the partisan lane of that district. Connor Lamb's district, I'm probably giving that towards a lean towards the Republicans. And the 10th district of Pennsylvania, Scott Perry probably wins by a good margin. Stephen Wild stays the same. Rhode Island, you can't really make competitive districts out of Rhode Island very easily. North Dakota, nothing. South Carolina, probably, yeah, that's probably my ratings. I think those are fair ratings. Tennessee, I don't think there's much to talk about. Texas is an interesting case. We have quite a few districts to talk about. First, going to the Dallas area, I don't think there's too much to change here. Colin Allred, though, just checking in Colin Allred's seat, without a presidential election, would that be enough to put him in the likely column? I'm not very convinced. I think a lean probably is better. Going to Houston, I'd probably see Lizzie Fetcher. I don't think these are too bad ratings. I think Peter also probably wins by a likely margin instead. I think both of these incumbents will have more safe races than I previously expected. Central Texas, yeah, probably, I don't see much. Chip Roy, if we look at, Chip Roy certainly got a lot of attention because of his statements here. I think probably wins by a likely margin, as well as that this district probably likely for the Republicans. John Carter probably also likely in his district because of there not being a presidential election. Probably Anthony Gonzalez, I think, probably even loses her district slightly, just slightly, but I think loses the district. Going to the state of Utah, you can see Republicans at 225 already, nothing to talk about there. Vermont, nothing. Virginia, I'd say Abigail Spanberger probably loses by a lane margin. And I think Elaine Lori probably loses her district as well pretty narrowly. Going to Washington State, nothing really there. Shader, I think, will get a much more competitive as well. Going to the state of West Virginia, you don't have anything there. Wisconsin, I really do see Ron Kine losing by a lane margin because he is retiring as well. Going to Wyoming, nothing there. So we end up with 226 Republicans districts to 209 for the Democrats. I could see maybe a more Democratic favoring map, maybe a more Republican favoring map, but yeah, that's what I would say would be my current projections if the map didn't change. Anyways, thanks for watching today's video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment if you're new, and bye.